16 men died screaming in dragonfire. 48 more crawled away with melted skin and shattered bones. 4 walked out alive, mounted on gods. No one has ever explained why those 4. Welcome to Westeros Within, where we journey into forgotten ages, hidden legends, and ancient mysteries. This is Mysteries of the Realm. Episode 9, The Dragonseeds. Blood wasn't enough. In the second year of the Dance of the Dragons, Rhaenyra's side had a problem that should not have been a problem at all. They had more dragons than riders. Unclaimed dragons nested on Dragonstone, Vermithor, Silverwing, Sea Smoke, Sheepstealer, the Cannibal, ancient and terrible and riderless. The enemy had fewer dragons, but was winning the war. Prince Jacaerys Velaryon made a desperate decision. He issued an open call. Any man or woman who could claim a dragon would receive lands, riches, and a knighthood. Sons would be ennobled. Daughters would be wed to lords. Grandmeister Muncan called it the sowing of the seeds. History remembers it as the Red Sowing. Because claiming a dragon is not a negotiation, it is a judgment. And the dragon renders its verdict in fire. Sir Stefan Darklyn, a knight of Rhaenyra's household, approached Sea Smoke with confidence. He burned to death before he got close enough to touch the beast. Lord Gormon Massey tried Vermithor, scorched to ash. Silver Dennis, who claimed to carry the blood of King Maegor the Cruel himself, reached toward Sheepstealer. The dragon tore his arm off. Then the cannibal arrived and devoured Dennis and both his sons. 16 dead. 48 burned or maimed. Knights, squires, scullions, sailors, 2 of Rhaenyra's own handmaids. The dragon pit was a slaughterhouse. And then 4 people walked through the fire and came out the other side riding. A blacksmith's bastard, a drunk, a bastard sailor's son, and a girl from the docks who had no Valyrian features at all. Here is what should trouble you. Those 4 do not share a single obvious quality. They were not the bravest. Brave men died. They were not the noblest. Lords died. They did not share the same method, the same bloodline, or the same temperament. One was a schemer. One was a coward. One was fiercely loyal. One did something no human had ever attempted. If blood were the answer, Silver Dennis should have lived. He claimed descent from a Targaryen king. The dragon ate him. If courage were the answer, Sir Stefan Darklyn should have lived. He was a proven knight who walked toward death without hesitation. He burned. Something else determined who rode and who died. And after 300 years, we still do not know what it was. Let us examine each of the 4, not as characters in a story, as evidence in an investigation. Begin with Hugh Hammer, a blacksmith's bastard on Dragonstone. No confirmed parentage, no surname until he gave himself one. He walked up to Vermithor, the Bronze Fury, nearly 100 years old, the dragon of King Jacaerys I, the second largest living dragon in the world. And Vermithor accepted him. Consider what that means. This dragon had carried the old king for decades. He had known the greatest Targaryen ruler in history. And when a nameless blacksmith's boy approached, the Bronze Fury lowered his neck. Hugh fought for Rhaenyra at the battle in the Gullet. He was knighted, granted lands on Driftmark. He considered it an insult. When Prince Daemon suggested giving Hugh Casterly Rock, Rhaenyra refused. She offered a tool a reward fit for a servant. The tool disagreed. At the first battle of Tumbleton, Hugh and Ulf White, both Dragonseeds, both riding Rhaenyra's dragons, turned. They did not merely switch sides. They turned their dragons on the very town they had been sent to defend. Tumbleton burned to ash. The sack that followed was, by Munken's account, among the most savage in the history of the Seven Kingdoms. Women and girls violated, every male slaughtered, the wealthy tortured for hidden coin. Hugh crowned himself king. With Aegon II missing and Aemond dead, Hugh sat atop the most powerful living dragon. His logic was blunt. Why be a lord when you can be a king? Sir Roger Corn knocked the crown from Hugh's head. A crown does not make a man a king. Hugh never wore it long. The caltrops, high-born green conspirators disgusted by Hugh's presumption, plotted his assassination. Sir John Roxton split him from groin to throat with Orphanmaker, a Valyrian steel blade. Now here is the investigator's question. Was Hugh always this? Was the ambition and the cruelty always there, waiting for power to reveal it? Or did the dragon change him? A common laborer with no education in lordship, no training in honor, suddenly astride the second most powerful weapon in the world. What does that do to a man? George R.R. Martin has said that dragons often reflect the personalities of their riders. Vermithor was fierce, dangerous, and old. Hugh became fierce, dangerous, and reckless. Did the man shape the dragon, or did the dragon shape the man? Now consider the man who betrayed alongside Hugh, though his story is almost comedy where Hugh's is tragedy. Ulf White, called Ulf the Sot, a man-at-arms on Dragonstone, known primarily for being drunk. He claimed Targaryen descent. The surname White may reference Targaryen silver hair, but nothing was ever verified. His claiming of Silverwing is one of the most absurd moments in all of Fire and Blood. While Vermithor raged during the sowing, killing and maiming everyone who approached, Ulf did not stand his ground. He ran. He fled deeper into the Dragonmont caves in blind terror, and stumbled, literally stumbled, upon the sleeping Silverwing. He put his foot through a clutch of dragon eggs, and the gentlest dragon in the world, the dragon of Queen Alysanne, the good queen herself, did not burn him. She nudged him with her nose, knocked him over, then lowered her neck and accepted him. This is the man who showed zero courage, who found his dragon by accident while running away, who stepped on her eggs, and she chose him. There is a theory, and it is compelling, that Silverwing did not choose Ulf at all. Not really. Vermithor and Silverwing were mates. They had coiled together in fields for decades. When Vermithor accepted Hugh, Silverwing may have simply wanted to fly beside her mate, as she always had. Ulf was not selected. He was tolerated. The nearest warm body with enough dragon blood to not be immediately incinerated. If that is true, it shatters the idea that the bond is sacred. That dragon and rider are chosen for each other by some deeper magic. Sometimes a dragon just wants to be near another dragon. Ulf betrayed at Tumbleton alongside Hugh. He was named Lord of Bitterbridge, but demanded Highgarden instead. During the Second Battle of Tumbleton, when the fate of the war hung in the balance, Ulf slept through the entire fight. Drunk, presumably. He was poisoned by Sir Hobart Hightower, who died from the same wine. The gentlest dragon in the world chose a traitor and a drunk. If dragons sense the character of their riders, what does that say about the bond? Unless dragons do not care about human morality at all, unless they sense something else entirely, something that has nothing to do with honor. Now we come to the evidence that complicates every theory, the one who should not have been possible. Her name was Nettles, small, skinny, brown skin, black hair, brown eyes, crooked teeth and a scarred nose. Archmeister Gildane notes plainly, she could not be called pretty. According to Mushroom, she was the daughter of a dockside whore, raised in the ports of Spicetown and Hull. Approximately 16 years old, described as foul-mouthed, filthy, and fearless. No silver hair, no purple eyes, no pale skin, no Valyrian features whatsoever. And she claimed a dragon. Not just any dragon, Sheepstealer, a wild male, over 70 years old, never previously ridden by anyone. Ugly mud-brown, he had killed and eaten the men who tried to claim him, including Silver Dennis and his sons. Nettles did not approach Sheepstealer with dominance or authority. She did not stride up to him as a dragon lord. She brought him a freshly slaughtered sheep. Then she came back the next morning and brought another, and the next, and the next, day after day. Sheep after sheep. Sheepstealer grew accustomed to her presence. Then he allowed her to approach, then to touch, then to mount, then to fly. Every other person who attempted the sowing tried to dominate the dragon. Nettles earned trust. This is the most important detail in the entire Dragonseed story, and it is the one nobody can explain. If Valyrian blood is what lets you ride a dragon, Nettles should be dead. She has no visible trace of it. Now, she grew up on Driftmark, a port crawling with Velaryon's sailors. Her mother was a whore. A Valyrian father is possible. But if her blood was so diluted that it left no trace in her appearance, was it really the blood that mattered? Or was it the sheep? Nettles' story does not end with the claiming. She became something far stranger. She flew alongside Daemon Targaryen, and what happened between them is one of the great unsolvable disputes in the source material. Mushroom, the court fool who prefers his history salacious, says Daemon took Nettles as his lover, that he taught her to bathe, shared tubs with her, lavished gifts upon her. Master Norrin, who was actually there, watching with his own eyes, says something entirely different, that Daemon doted on Nettles as a man might dote upon his daughter, that they slept in adjoining rooms, not the same bed. He calls her Daemon's bastard girl. Gildane, the compiler, notes that Mushroom's account is far more likely than most of his tales. But Norrin was the eyewitness. Father or lover? The accounts contradict, and they matter, because what came next broke everything. After Hugh and Ulf turned traitor at Tumbleton, Rhaenyra's paranoia consumed her. Mysaria, the White Worm, Daemon's former paramour, whispered poison. "The girl has already betrayed you, my queen. Even now she shares your husband's bed, and soon enough she will have his bastard in her belly." Rhaenyra ordered Nettles killed, not arrested. Killed. Her head delivered. But Daemon was to be spared and told to return. Was this about treason or jealousy? Lord Mouton received the raven at Maidenpool. Maester Norrin advised him to pretend it never arrived. Norrin warned Daemon, and Daemon, who recognized Mysaria's hand in his queen's words, did not argue. He did not rage. He woke Nettles before dawn. He helped her saddle Sheepstealer one last time. She killed a large black ram and fed it to her dragon. She climbed onto the beast she had earned with patience and sheep, and weeks of silent trust. No word of farewell was spoken between them. She flew into the morning mists over the Bay of Crabs, and she was gone. And Caraxes, Daemon's own dragon, the Bloodworm, raised his head and gave a scream that shattered every window in Jonquil's tower. Whether father or lover, the dragon felt the loss, and Nettles was never seen in the south again. But she was not gone. In the Mountains of the Moon, the mountain clans began telling stories of a fire witch who lived in a hidden valley with a dragon. An offshoot of the Painted Dogs worshipped her. Boys proved their manhood by approaching the dragon and returning with burns. Some Meisters believe this is the origin of the Burned Men clan tradition. If those stories are true, and they persisted for generations, Nettles survived for decades, perhaps longer, alone with Sheepstealer in the mountains. A girl from the docks who had no right to ride a dragon, living as a legend in the wild. Martin has never told us what happened to her. He has never confirmed her parentage. He has never explained how she did what she did. Nettles is the question the story refuses to answer. And then there is Addam, Addam of Hull, later Addam Velaryon. His mother, Marilda of Hull, claimed his father was Laenor Velaryon, but Laenor was gay, with no known female lovers. Mushroom says bluntly what everyone suspected. The father was Corlys Velaryon, the sea snake himself, the most powerful lord in Rhaenyra's coalition. Corlys had sailed the world. Marilda was a shipwright's daughter in his own port. Addam claimed Sea Smoke, the dragon that had previously belonged to Laenor. If Addam was truly Corlys's son, then he and Laenor were half-brothers through the same father. They shared Valyrian blood, and Sea Smoke, who had known Laenor, may have sensed that kinship. Here is a detail that breaks the blood theory open. Addam had a brother, Alan. Same mother, same presumed father, the same blood. Alan attempted the sowing too. He tried to claim Sheepstealer. The dragon set fire to his cloak. Addam beat out the flames. Alan carried those burn scars for the rest of his life. Same blood. One rides, one burns. If blood were sufficient, Alan should have mounted a dragon. He did not. Whatever Addam had, it was not only in his veins. After Hugh and Ulf's betrayal, Rhaenyra turned against all Dragonseeds. Most of her council demanded Addam and Nettles be arrested. Only Corlys defended them. His boys were true Velaryons, he said, worthy of Driftmark, worthy of trust. Rhaenyra ordered Addam's arrest anyway. Corlys warned his son. Addam escaped on Sea Smoke. For his defiance, Corlys was beaten, bound, and thrown into the Black Cells. The Valyrian fleet, the backbone of Rhaenyra's naval power, defected. She lost more from her reaction to the betrayal than from the betrayal itself. And Addam, the man she condemned as a traitor before he had betrayed anyone? He gathered what rivermen he could find and rode Sea Smoke into the Second Battle of Tumbleton. Not for Rhaenyra, who had sentenced him to die, not for glory, to prove something. Gildane writes it plainly. The dragon was Sea Smoke, his rider Sir Addam Velaryon, determined to prove that not all bastards need be turncloaks. 3 dragons fought over Tumbleton that day. Vermithor, riderless now that Hugh was dead, locked his jaws around Sea Smoke's neck and ripped his head from his body. Addam died with his dragon. Vermithor collapsed, mortally wounded. Tessarion, the Blue Queen, also riderless, tried 3 times to take flight and failed. An archer named Billy Burley put her out of her misery with a well-aimed arrow. 3 dragons dead. 2 Dragonseeds dead. The skies empty. Years later, Addam's bones were returned to Driftmark. His brother Alan, by then Lord of the Tides, one of the greatest admirals in Westerosi history, inscribed the tomb with carvings of a mouse and a seahorse, and one word: loyal. One word. For a bastard who died proving he was more than his blood. For a man condemned by a queen who feared what he was, instead of seeing what he chose to be. So what determines who rides a dragon? The blood theory says Valyrian ancestry is required, and there is strong evidence. Martin has confirmed that the Valyrians practiced incest specifically to preserve their ability to bond with dragons. Only 40 families in all of Valyria could ride. Not everybody can do that, Martin has said, but blood cannot be the whole answer. Silver Dennis claimed Targaryen blood and was eaten. Alan had Addam's blood and was burned. And Nettles, if she truly had no Valyrian ancestry, demolished the theory entirely. Blood may be necessary, but it is not sufficient. The courage theory says willpower and bravery determine the bond, and Nettles' patient determination supports it. But Ulf showed no courage whatsoever and succeeded. Brave knights burned. Courage cannot be the answer. The dragon choice theory says the dragons themselves decide. And this is compelling. Martin has confirmed that dragons are individuals with personalities and agency. Sheepstealer tested Nettles over weeks. Silverwing may have chosen Ulf because Vermithor chose Hugh. The cannibal rejected every living being that came near, not because they lacked blood, but because he did not want a rider. If that is true, the bond is not a lock and key. It is a relationship, and the dragon's judgment may operate on criteria no human being can understand. Septon Barth, the scholar Martin himself has said got much of it right, wrote that blood mages created the first dragons, that the Valyrians used binding spells and sorceress horns to control them. If there is a magical component to dragon bonding that goes beyond genetics, it would explain the inconsistencies. Why blood helps, but does not guarantee. Why some without obvious blood succeed. Why the same blood produces a rider and a burn victim. But no one used magic during the sowing. No horns, no spells, no blood rituals. If magic is the answer, it is buried so deep in the blood that its bearers do not even know it is there. And every account we have of the sowing comes through narrators who cannot be trusted. Munkun gives us the official numbers: 16 dead, 48 maimed, but his source is Orwyle, a Grand Maester who wrote his account as a prisoner trying to avoid execution. He had every reason to shape the story toward whoever might pardon him. Mushroom gives us the most vivid details: Nettles in Demon's Bed, the chaos of the Dragonmont, the mockery of lords who died. But Mushroom invents and exaggerates as a matter of craft. He was a fool. Performance was his trade. Septon Eustace sanitizes. He smooths away the uncomfortable truths, buries the sexual, elevates the pious. And Gildane, the compiler, does something more honest and more frustrating than any of them. He presents every version side by side and lets you choose. We are reading an investigation written by people who were not impartial, filtered through a Meister who refused to pick a side. The truth of the sowing may exist somewhere between 4 unreliable accounts, or it may exist in none of them. So what do I believe? I believe blood matters. Martin has been too consistent about Valyrian incest and dragon bonding for it to be irrelevant. The 40 families of Valyria were not superstitious. They were protecting something real in their bloodlines. But I believe blood is the floor, not the ceiling. It gets you into the dragon pit alive. What happens next depends on something else, something the dragons sense and we cannot name. Call it will, call it compatibility, call it magic buried so deep in the marrow that no maester can measure it. I believe Nettles may have had a drop of Valyrian blood through some forgotten sailor. But I also believe that is not why Sheepstealer chose her. He chose her because she came back every morning with a sheep. She did not try to master him. She fed him. And in a world where every human who approached a wild dragon came with chains and commands, one girl came with breakfast. I believe Hugh Hammer was not born a monster. I believe absolute power handed to a man with no framework for wielding it is the oldest experiment in human nature, and it almost always ends the same way. The dragon did not corrupt Hugh. The dragon revealed him, and I believe Addam Velaryon is the most important Dragonseed of them all. Not because he solved the mystery of the bond, but because he proved that what you do with the bond matters more than how you got it. 4 people rode dragons out of the sowing. 1 became a tyrant. 1 became a joke. 1 became a legend. And 1 won. Proved that a bastard with borrowed blood could carry more honor than every true-born lord who condemned him. 1 word on his tomb, carved in stone by a brother who understood. Loyal. That word answers nothing about dragon bonding, and everything about what it means to choose who you are when the world has already decided for you. So tell me this, what makes a Dragonrider? Blood, will, magic, or something we have not yet named? Write it in the comments. I read every theory. And if you want to be here when we unravel the next mystery, subscribe to Westeros Within and join me for the next chapter.